Okay, so this video is about the Marantec motors. Marantecs are really cool motors. They're probably the quietest on the market, but they are kind of a programming nightmare. So sometimes I try to avoid them just because of all the difficulty I have with getting them all programmed. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about them in case you have one. They're really cool, quiet motors, and I hope to get to show you in this video just how quiet they are, but as you might be able to hear, there's some heavy equipment outside that's rumbling around. So I'm hoping that he'll stop in a minute and we'll be able to display these. Anyway, to start with, first thing you want to know about your garage door is your photo eyes. Down at the bottom of each side of the door, you're going to find these little boxes down here. And this one's got a little green LED light on it. It's hard to see in the video, but it's right there. And then this one on the other side, and it might be on one side or the other, has a red LED light on it. That red LED light is indicating whether or not the photo eye can see that side. So if something gets in the way, the door stops and comes back up. Now if something gets in the way, it stays in the way. The red light is supposed to blink, but maybe these ones don't. Sorry about that. Newer model. Oh, it's a green one. There we go. The green light there will blink to indicate that there's a problem, which means it can't see the other side. So it thinks there's something in the way, the door won't close. What will happen is the door will open like normal, but when you go to activate it from your remote control, it won't close at all. And you'll think, hey, the door's broken, call somebody out, they'll come out and move a rake or a shovel out of the way, charge you a fee, and you won't like that. So check your photo eyes first and foremost. Make sure they're looking at each other, make sure the wires in the back aren't broken loose, you want to make sure that the lenses are clean on the front, and usually just kind of look around. You'll usually find the culprit in that area if you look around there. So that machinery did stop, so we'll try demonstrating the motor here. So again, this is a Marantec. This is a 260 on this side, a little LED light. It's one of the few things I don't like about the Marantec. They use this built-in LED light that's just not very bright, but it is a lifetime light, so that's cool. Remote control has 3 buttons, and we're going to activate this one. You can hear how nice and quiet it is. That big bump just went outside. The motor is super quiet, and this is actually a pretty heavy door. It's a full view aluminum with white laminate glass. So the fact that it's moving so quietly is pretty impressive. We're going to demonstrate the photo eyes real quick. Even if the photo eyes are blocked, it'll allow the door to open, but it won't close. So if I'm standing in the way, I can activate it, but the remote control won't do anything. And the light up there go out saying, hey, there's a problem. It's even blinking. So check your photo eyes. Once you get them clear, when you activate the door, it should go down. Yeah, come on, there you go. And if something were to break the beam while the door is in the process of closing, like my foot just did, the door will automatically stop and go back up. It's a handy safety feature. Watch out for those photo eyes, though. They can be a real problem. The next thing about the Marantec motor is how they disconnect from the motor in case of a power outage or the motor breaks down. So you see this red rope here, it's attached to your rail, and that's the power disconnect. So let's say power stopped right there, froze, went out. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to grab this red rope, and we're going to pull it down and toward the motor in the back, so toward that way, we'll disengage the door from the motor, and we can then close it by hand. And you can see that little white bullet in there. That's what picks up the traveler when it passes through. But currently, it's in the neutral position. You can see the little red tab next to the rope there. It's all the way to the left. That means it's in neutral. You climbed up on there, and you could probably read it in the plastic. So we'll activate the door. You can watch that bullet move when we activate it. Now the motor's so quiet that sometimes you don't even know it's running and you'll think there's something wrong, but really it's just disengaged. So right now it went up, but it didn't catch. See? Didn't catch. That's because it's in neutral. So when power's out, you put it in neutral, you can open and close the door by hand, and then if power stays out, you can use this lock system here to engage, to lock the door, to keep it from opening, you know, at night, keep it secure. The thing is we don't want to accidentally re-engage that motor because it's remarkably strong and have this lock still in place. So there's a good chance that you have a bolt inside this hole right here, and that's what this bolt is for. I'm going to thread this on after I'm done here with this video, but this bolt here is to keep you from accidentally locking that lock and running it by the motors, to make you think about it. So there might be a bolt in the way, and that's what it's for. Now, power's come back on, so we're going to re-engage the door back to the motor. So we're going to pull this red rope again, and again, the little red tag will tell you how. This time we're going to pull it toward the door, and you can see it change positions, that little red plastic. And now, when it passes by that little white plastic piece inside, which is very close, it'll pick it right up and take the door with it. So that's your emergency release. Over here on your wall feature, you have a couple of different buttons. The big button's got a little tiny LED red light in it so you can find it in the dark, and this activates the door. It doesn't matter where in the button you push, it just activates the door and tells it to go whichever way it needs to, whether it's up or down. This is a light switch, so if you want the lights to come on and stay on like a regular light, you can use that button. The LEDs are not very bright, so you can't really see it, but that light will turn on the light, leave it on like a normal light in your house. And then this is vacation lock. If we press and hold that down for a few seconds, they make you have to hold it down so that you don't accidentally engage it. It'll make this little red light in here blink. And if that red light right there is blinking, then that means that it's in vacation mode, and your remote control will not open the door, and neither will your keypad. So you're gonna have to use a key, come all the way through the house, press the lock, hold it down, and get that red light to come on solid again, which we did. And now it's back in business and active. Now there's a couple other cool features about these Marantecs. For instance, the 370 on this side, this is the big one for the big door. It has the capability of having a battery inserted inside of it to run without power. I don't think it's super useful. Most of these big expensive houses like this have generators, and you can always pull the rope and open it by hand, but it's kind of a cool feature. The other really interesting thing about the Marantec is using the controls. And again, it's a complicated system, but using those controls up there and reading the manual carefully, you can tell it how hard to push, how hard to pull, even how fast to open and close. You can turn up the speed on these motors pretty good, and that's kind of cool. Now on a big door like this, I like it to move pretty slow because there's so much weight being operated here. So it's kind of set at a normal speed. You can see this door is huge. It's still really nice and quiet. There's a lot of dust on the door, and that's during construction. So much of this dust gets everywhere. A lot of times it'll get in the tracks and in the hinges. So when a door this heavy, a lot of times it'll creak and groan and make a lot of noise. If your door's doing that, take a rag and wipe out the track when the door's in a closed position. You can wipe out all this horizontal track, clean it out, use a little soap and water on the hinges. I say soap and water because it won't stain anything. A little soap and water on those hinges there. Let it dry, and then you can put a little oil in it and it'll run nice and smooth again. You can see the remote control has 2 buttons on it. The funny thing about these remotes, they look like one's going to go up and one's going to go down. They don't. The one on top goes to one door, and the one on bottom goes to the other door. So this remote control can operate either door. So that's the Marantec system. It's really pretty cool. Oh, sorry, one more really important thing. The thing about Marantec is we often install these during new construction when there's no power. So what happens is we get them hooked up to this temporary power. Then someone comes along and unplugs it because they're busy and they need that cord. When it gets unplugged, the next guy will come along and say, hey, I got to run this door and it's not plugged in. Let me just disengage it. He puts it in neutral, opens the door by hand, closes it back by hand, but leaves it in neutral. Here's the big problem. When you do that with the Marantec, once you plug it back in and you don't know it's been re-engaged, say, so right now, the door is not re-engaged, the motor, someone plugged it back in, they don't know it's not re-engaged, so they just plug it in and run it. Now, you can see this little traveler in there. It's moving, but it's not lifting the door. The problem is it's going to forget where it's at. It's going to go up and go, hey, wait a minute, I need the door to know what's happening here, and I'm confused. So what's going on? So then the guy says, well, geez, the motor's not working. I haven't got time to hook this thing up. So he just unplugs it and moves on. Well, here's the big problem, is the next time the next guy comes along that wants to operate this door properly, and he says, oh, hey, it's just not hooked up. He comes along and he pulls this red rope, puts it back in gear. There we go. He activates the door. It's a heavy door, like I said. He hooks it up, and you watch it engage, just like that. Hey, great, he thinks it's all done. Well, now here's the problem with Marantec. After that's happened to it, it's lost. It doesn't know where it's at. So it'll go all the way up and hit the stop, and then when it closes, it'll close almost all the way down and stop about 2 to 3 inches above the floor. And you'll think there's something wrong with my door. And at first I thought, hey, this is a serious problem, and it kind of is for me, who has to do with this often. Oh, that stopped early. So I called the factory, I said, what do you got to do? He says, well, it's a problem, but it's a pretty easy fix. If this is happening to you, that means somebody got it all confused. So you have to reset the system. You're going to unplug it. Wait 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3. I hope I got 10 seconds before my time or my memory on my phone runs out. Just an old iPhone. And after about 10 seconds, you're going to plug that back in with the door hooked to the motor. You don't want to do it in neutral again. You're going to activate the door. Now this time the door is going to run all the way up, run into the emergency stop, and it's going to run all the way down and hit the ground. And then you're going to run it 2 more times. And by the second or third time, the door will have relearned where it's at so that it knows where to stop. So you just unplug it for 10 seconds, plug it back in, and then run it. There it goes. It went up and hit the stop. Now it's going to go all the way down. It's going to hit the ground. Now after that, it's going to say, okay, that's where the stop is at, and that's where the ground is at. I remember where it's supposed to be. So from then on, the system will work just great. But it's kind of a hassle for those of us that are installing them when there's no permanent power up there. Because someone, see, I already stopped all the way down. Because someone's bound to unplug this and try running it by hand. So at some point, the customer's going to call me and say, hey, my door won't go all the way down. How do I fix this? And then I'm going to send them this video so that I don't have to walk them through it on the phone. All right, well, that's it for the Marantec. Have a great day.